everybody, I'm the best YouTuber, and I watch YouTube videos so that you don't have to. Yeah, I stole that fucking intro. What are you gonna do about it? Cry, baby? Probably nothing. Now let's get on with the review.
Hello, nostalgia. Gotta remember it so you don't have to.
There you go. That's where I stole the intro from. Fireball, and I'm gonna drink it all the way down. Have enough coffee, drug, or like, I just don't have enough anything really at this point to keep this shit. Oh my god. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is a very special, as you can see, Star Trek show. Today we're going to be talking about a channel that I've been following for a little while now called, let me adjust my camera here, called Star Trek, or Newbie Star Trek. It's about these guys who have barely or never even seen an episode of TNG. Wait, did I just say TNG? The Next Generation. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is going to be a pretty good episode and probably a pretty long one. So why don't you have a seat right there? Commander Riker, direct them to their seat, please. So anyway, we're going to be talking about a channel, Newbie Star Trek. God dang it. What the heck am I talking like this? And all they do really is review Star Trek Next Generation. Now, I have come across these guys more than a couple of times. And not I, but somebody I know, very close and personal, and I hate his guts, mind you, nonetheless, has left a couple comments on their channel and has gotten confused by the comments. First of all, let's take a look at their channel. Now here is their channel. Wait for it. Now here is their channel in the content in which they show. Just go to videos here, and there you have it. So basically, they have a podcast in which they talk about every single episode of Next Generation that there is. And a lot of times, the stuff that they talk about is pretty good. And they do point out some pretty funny stuff. As a matter of fact, I started watching this broadcast as YouTube Shorts. So I came across my YouTube Shorts feed and went from curiosity, clicked onto their channel, and this is what I got. Now let's take a look at some of the content. So here we go. This is where they review the TNG episode Code of Honor from season 1. Now, Code of Honor has been known as one of the most racist episodes of Star Trek's history. This even includes the original series, which I don't see how that's even possible, but it is. Now, upon looking at the episode, I don't think it's necessarily racist at all. And it says, did not age well. But that's because I look at it from a different perspective. I mean, they're going down to a planet. Okay, here's a synopsis. They go down to the planet, and there's this, what we would consider on Earth, an African tribe of people. And there's a certain hierarchy that's going on, and they have to decide which one's going to be their queen. Now, in order to decide this, there has to be a fight to the death. Now, they point out a lot of the stereotypes and the insensitive cultural whatever bullcrap that's going on in the episode. But that's not the way I see it at all. Now, I could go on and on and on and talk about how the Japanese were portrayed, like in the 40s and whatnot. But, they did just attack Pearl Harbor and enter the U.S. into World War II. So there was a lot of sour stuff going on. Not saying that all the depictions of them, that made it right, but it would be about the same thing as us making fun of the Taliban today and making fun of all Middle Eastern people, so to speak. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic here. But these guys, even though they do a good job at the episodes, they do get political, which I think, honestly, politicism should be kept out of your commentary, or like, let's say you're doing the review on something, like an action figure review or something like that. Politics has no place for that sort of thing. But these guys, they let their politics be known. And I just think that there's no room for that when you're doing a review of something. But let's just watch a little bit of what they do. I feel like I've been talking a long time here with no breaks in between. So as you can see, they have made cartoon characters of themselves. Now, 2 of these people are supposed to be Asian, and 1 is supposed to be Mexican American. But I forget, just by looking at the cartoon, you really can't tell. I mean, this guy here in the middle, he kind of looks Mexican a little bit. This guy here on the end, he looks totally Mexican, but actually also, he kind of looks like that guy, Sean Long. Remember the guy from the This is an Apple, This is a Mac commercials? Remember those? God, those were annoying. Personally, I prefer the Marvel versus DC spoofs that were done of those commercials later on. But this guy down here at this end, definitely 100% Asian. Maybe this guy's Asian too. I don't know. But I wouldn't even be talking about it. But they do seem to talk about it a lot when they're doing their episodes, especially this guy here, who definitely looks 100% Mexican. But, be it to me to make him such assumptions. Oh, God damn it, I can't even talk right now. Ugh. Anyway, let's just watch the video. Man. Oh, there's some music. I'm going to get hit with that.
Welcome back to Newbie Star Trek. As always, I'm Marvin, and I'm here with Dan and Ricardo. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going? Newbie Star Trek, the same name it's always been.
Yeah.
Shut up. Don't ruin it.
You shut up. You shut up.
It took us
Fine. Well, goodbye, everyone.
It took us years to figure out this name.
So, as always, Ricardo has...
Now, what's going on with their arms there? They're underneath the table and they're doing some kind of jerking motion. Well, I'll let that speak for itself. But to me, it just looks sort of, sort of gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if these 2 guys are gay and they're giving handies under the table to each other, that's none of my business. Certainly none of yours. Anyway, back to the show. Already you can see kind of how annoying they are a little bit in a sense, but they do play well off of one another. And that's what I do like about the show.
Has not seen any episodes of the series except for the ones we've already seen for the channel, or the podcast.
Yes.
And also the one he accidentally watched, which I believe was Data Lore.
Yeah.
So. And then I've seen the whole series, but I've forgotten much of it. And Dan is also seen some of it, and he's here, and we're all
And
here.
I forgot most of that.
So we're this podcast is an intervention where we're trying to figure out what's going on with Star Trek.
Yeah, we're all
and-
trying to fill that Star Trek shaped hole in our lives.
and force Ricard.
Go. I mean, you get a general gist of what's going on. And this is only in the first minute and a half of the intro. But what the heck is going on here? Okay, you got one of those triangle thingies that they have on all the tables on 10 forward. You got some pretzels over here, some Mexican hot sauce, and a Dr. Pepper. And I'm assuming that's a glass of whiskey and water combination of some sort. I don't know. But another thing I do like what they do here is the animations going on in the background. I mean, so far we haven't seen Picard here in the background move, but in further episodes, you do see some of the characters move. But now I'm going to highlight some of the episodes that these guys cover. This being one of the biggest ones since it's so racist and controversial. But let's fast forward a little bit here. And go.
Does nothing. Like, you know how when you're playing games with like your cousin or something, and then
You're right.
you're
You give,
like,
them the
no,
remote,
here's
you
the
give them the remote that doesn't work, or the one with no
exactly.
batteries. Yeah.
He's just pushing these buttons and things happen, and Wesley's like, "Ooh, I'm helping."
Wait, and the thing that we all need to keep in mind here is that in the very episode previous, Wesley fucking took over the whole ship and endangered everyone's lives.
The fact that there's no repercussions for that is shocking.
You know, even I hate Wesley Crusher. I hate the character. I hate what he stands for. I don't believe there should have been such a young man on the bridge of the ship. But yet, I do have somewhat of a sympathetic, I don't know, whatever you want to call it for him. And these guys are really, really harsh on Wesley Crusher. But the point of this episode is they're trying to point out just how racist it is. So let's find some clips of that instead.
So Miles O'Brien is like the redheaded stepchild of the Star Trek universe because like he's kind of important. Like he shows up in this show.
That's what I am.
I've come to really enjoy him just completely tangentially.
Yeah,
like, I barely know his deal, but I love Miles O'Brien.
It's because like they saddle him with like really like basically in this episode his job is to man I think the con station. I'm not quite.
I'll tell you what I like about Chief O'Brien is he just seems like just an ordinary guy, just like a dude that's a 9-to-5 guy that would show up, do his job, and he's almost kind of like the Scotty of this particular series. However, what does kind of bother me about him is he's not very progressive. Like he does seem like almost like an Irish stereotype. Now listen to me talk about stereotypes. Anyway, they start talking about something that will forever change the course of their entire series. Check this out.
Usually works the teleporter room.
Okay.
And then there's like this ongoing joke that he's just sitting there.
He just said teleporter room, which in a sense, I guess they do teleport, but he does correct himself here in a minute, but it is transport room.
In the teleporter room, not doing anything. Oh, the transporter. Yeah, see.
Someone's going to yell at you.
He's in the transport room, kind of just sitting there, waiting for orders, and no one will actually like do anything because he's just waiting. But then he ends up going like this. There are some episodes of.
By the way, the transporter is a joke that they continue to repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in the show until your head just hurts. They keep saying every time someone in Star Trek Next Generation talks about meet me in transporter room number 5, number 1. Or meet me in transporter room 3, Captain. Or we'll be in the transporter, Captain. Every time they mention anything about transporters, they always make the joke about Jason, what's his face, from the transporter. And to be honest, it's really, really, really gets annoying after a while. I've watched about 2.5 seasons of this podcast, and oh my God, come on, guys. The joke is getting old. In fact, it got old about 10 minutes ago.
Of TNG, where like he's actually a very important character and he's actually pretty awesome, and then he ends up actually being one of the 2 characters that
Outpost. And what it is the crew of the old Enterprise. They are in pursuit of this Ferengi vessel, which they believe has stolen this power converter or energy converter.
Power converter. You guys are committing the cardinal sin of mixing your Star Wars with your Star Trek. Although it could be as good as Reese's peanut butter cups. That time the 2 semi-trucks crashed and the guy's chocolate bar got inside his peanut butter. Man, now that I say that out loud, it sounds really dirty. Let's continue watching the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And they stole it from this unnamed like Federation outpost, and they're hot on their trail. And then the Ferengi ship and them stop really close to this planet, and the Enterprise starts losing power, and they can't shoot off any missiles or whatever they're called, phasers.
I can't believe he's getting missiles confused with phasers. Oh boy. As time goes on, what you'll see here is they actually added an addition to their team, which is a female. I'm not quite sure what her name is. I just know her as a female. But she does bring some more wonderful insight to the table. Let's watch.
It's just a brand.
It's not fucking hot sauce crystal.
It's making a hot comeback. It's been a cool minute, but it's making a hot comeback.
Wait, I'm talking about the actual meaning of Tapatio.
What do you?
No, I don't know.
Oh, we're talking about the salsa.
No, that salsa never went away.
I'm talking about the Urban Dictionary definition.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Wait, there's an actual Urban Dictionary term? That's
Our term that we've coined. Our term.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're all over the place.
There's gene jamming and
Oh, yeah. I guess her name is Sarah. I should have figured that one out. So anyway, what do I think about this podcast? Well, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. For one, I said all the annoying points there at the beginning, which I probably should have saved right now. But these guys talk about their political views. They constantly get the names wrong. I'll give them a pass on that because it is called Newbie Star Trek, so they're allowed to make those kind of genuine mistakes. But the other thing they do is the repeated joke about the transporter. Boy, we can't get that enough times. And one more thing I will say on them is they're not very nice people, especially when it comes to answering comments. In fact, they're very quite rude and quite misunderstanding when answered comments. Like this comment, for example, I found to be very weird and unusual and didn't really know how to respond to. Well, I mean, not me, but my friend of me. Check it out. So here are some of the comments. Really, I'll have to read them to you since they're really hard to see on your screen, I'm sure. So this one comes from Hawkboy 2 months ago, and this is about the episode Code of Honor, the one they say is the most racist episode ever. He says, no one was bothered by this episode before the last 10 years or so. I was a kid when it aired. It was never considered to be problematic. This planet is basically space Wanakanda. 8 replies. Let's click on the replies. And it says here, Ghostbuster Guy 2011 says, yes, in 2007, when all the fake wokeness started. Oh, wait. Jonathan Frakes literally called it a racist piece of shit in 2007, says Newbie Star Trek. Ghostbuster 2011 replies, yes, in 2007, when it was all fake wokeness started. But where was all the outrage years earlier for the episode? And how else were they supposed to patrol an African planet? I'm sure research was done before the writers did the episode. Where do you think our knowledge of African culture came from? We didn't just make it up. It was from National Geographic and stuff. And also, Jonathan Frakes had to say that. I mean, what do you expect him to say in front of the press? Oh, yeah, it's totally cool that we had this totally, racist episode. So this guy says all this, and then they replied, they didn't do jack shit for research. So right away, you could see what dicks they're being by replying in such a manner. They could have said something along the lines of, I don't know, like, oh, well, you might be right, I don't know, but it's still considered one of the most racist episodes. Or they could have just, not replied, I guess. And here, Ghostbuster Guy 2011 is trying to agree to disagree with them. Okay, brother, you don't have to yell at me. I'm just saying this episode isn't as racist as people say it is. That's it. Sexist? Maybe, but not racist. Just because they're all tribal people, read more. Just because they're all tribal people doesn't really matter anyway, because they are an alien race, which they are, and not humans. They're not supposed to be human. They're supposed to be like an alien race. Well, I guess they are a human race, but they're not from Earth, so they're still alien. And then Newbie Star Trek responds in a dick-like manner by saying, I will start reading your comments once they're in the form of actual language. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? In the form of actual language? What the fuck do you call this? Goddamn gibberish? See, that's the thing I hate about them. As much as I love their channel and their content and everything that they do, this is what really turns me off to them. Now, I didn't comment myself, but that was pretty much the end of it right there. And I just want to say a few things here, if I might, about Newbie Star Trek. Newbie Star Trek, what do I think of it all on the whole? Well, it's actually really good. In fact, I would recommend it. Yeah, that's right. I would recommend it. And you know that if I've recommended something, it can't be all that bad. Although I wish that they would respond to commenters a little better, maybe a little bit more mature, like, I guess it falls under that saying, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Because otherwise, you just make yourself out to be an asshole. And while not everybody is an asshole, everybody has an asshole, and you know what the fuck comes out of them. But I will leave a link down in the description for Newbie Star Trek. So yeah, check it out, but be aware that they can be dicks at times. But until next time, just remember, what's that? DS9? They're going to talk about DS9? Wait, what do you mean? What? What do you mean there are DS9 episodes now being played on Net? Hey everybody, Bash YouTuber here reminding you to smash that like button. I would tell you to smash the dislike button, but there is no dislike button anymore. Anyway, if you like what you see, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.